Hi, Bob here again. Okay, let's see if we can clear up a couple of those errors that you're receiving here. Okay, first off, if you've created a new player controller or a new game mode, first thing to do, especially if you've created a new game mode, just jump into the Edit and Project Settings. Under Maps and Modes, ensure that you have the game mode set to your correct game mode, and you can go down and correct anything here which is not lined up with the new controllers or pawns, and also, you know, if you've created a new game instance down here, make sure they're all correct, and then close that, and then jump into your new game mode that you've set, and make sure under the class defaults, everything is set up correctly in here to reflect any changes, especially the player controller class. I suspect that's probably what the first error was all about. Once that's all set, in the level blueprint, you don't need any begin events or anything in there at all. The level blueprint should only be for things that affect the level, like, you know, trees or anything that's non-player specific, really. More your terrain and environment. Okay, and I don't think in this little project, I don't have any begin plays set up at all. All I've got is everything running off the on-post login, and until you become comfortable and confident with everything, you should do little checks just to make sure everything is set up and functioning. So when you come off here, you can throw in as valid checks, just to make sure everything is working and coming up, you know, just to make sure it is actually communicating. So with the new Bob PC that I've got there, I just set up a custom event, and everything in the game starts here. And getting the player pawn, make sure this is set to 0. That 0 is your computer, basically. You know, if you've just got the one controller in here, you'll just have the one player pawn, and then drag off to the actual pawn that you're using. In this case, it's just the standard third-person character one, but you'd use whichever one you've created. And I've just grabbed a reference here, set a reference within the player controller of the pawn, so we don't have to do any casting later on. And then, and down in the pawn itself, set up a reference to the player controller, just mainly to save from having to do casts, and also placed in here a HUD reference here, which we need to feed information into to set it. It's instance editable there. So when we create the HUD here, created the HUD in the player controller, and then we drag off from the pawn reference here and set the ref HUD from this main widget HUD that we have created. This one here, we would end up adding to viewport after we've done all of that to bring it up. So we've got the HUD here, but that HUD reference is fed through down into the pawn, and it's for your widgets and options widgets communication. That is where it all kind of starts from, to make sure we have this HUD reference inside the pawn. so you can feed information backwards and forwards from it. Okay, and then down under the third person character, for the collision events, we've got an overlapping sphere here, just sitting out in front of the player, but sitting on top of a follow camera. I've just moved the follow camera forward to be a bit more like a first person instead of a third person. So wherever the player is looking, this collision sphere is going to be around in front of them and trigger whatever event we've got set up there. Okay, so I've created a talk to projector blueprint interface here, and in there we've got two functions. One's show widget to show the press tab to interact widget, and the other one is a change color, so that you can see that you're communicating with the actual projector from the playing from our third person character Pawn, and being able to talk directly to him. So with the show widget, I've just got a boolean going in there to either show or unshow the widget, you know, whether we're approaching or moving out. Just run through and show you how that works. Okay, so let's see, we walk up to the object, and you've got a press tab to proceed popping up there, and then that's where you'd set, and the next step of that, so we want to press the tab to proceed to the next step to do all your widgets. But I've just got the tab set up here to do a color change, just a flip-flop color change, just to show the basics of the setup there, and from there you should be able to figure the rest out. So under the color change, this is all sitting on our projector body, and the show widget one here, all that does is set a widget which is set up on the body itself, and that widget is here we go, just the instructions widget set to screen space. So you've probably done one of these before, so it just shows up on the screen. So it's fairly simple there. So it's just feeding back through the interface widget. And then what I've set up is pressing the tab, just goes for a simple flip-flop, shoots out a, just set up a sphere trace, just like a line trace, just a little bit fatter. You can set how wide he's going to be. So from the follow camera, getting his world location to get the start point, then for the end point, getting the forward vector of the follow camera times a float, an input float, so we can set whatever distance we want, and timesing that by the forward vector, adding it to the original start location to get our end location. So in there, so I've got 300 in there, then this is going to start at the camera and go 300 forward wherever the camera is looking. And yep, so that just produces a hit. The hit actor will be the projector root, and because the projector has this interface on it, these will go through there, feeds through whatever number I've got in there, and on the change colour thing here, just using a switch on int there. With these things here, you can remove the default one and just add ones like that. So it's nice and tidy, and just got yeah, basically flip-flopping between these two alternate colours, so you can see the interaction between it. So bumps into it, press the tab, he's firing out a trace to it, so he knows what object it is. You could run it off the original collision sphere if you want, but with the setup here, you can do things like highlight all objects within a field that have the same property, and then look at different ones and press a key to interact directly with one of them. Cool. That should cover most of those first errors there, and pretty much for widget interaction is exactly the same sort of thing. It just expands on this basic concept. Okay, cheers. Thanks for your time. I hope this gets you a little bit further along.